Hey guys, how are we doing? Crypto Insight UK here, bringing you back another YouTube video. So this is going to be a very important video, and I want you guys to watch this all the way to the end, because the first half of the video I'm going to explain what's going on. The second half of the video I'm hopefully going to be a bit more positive and bring some light onto the situation, because this happens all the time in crypto, like where we are. Yes, we've had a long drawn out correction here, and people are getting angry, sad, losing faith, whatever. You can have two types of correction. One's a price correction, which is where the price pulls back pretty quickly and pretty deeply. The other one's a time-based correction. This is a time-based correction, and it's literally meant to shake people out. We got overextended at this first half of the cycle. I've suggested that a few times with the ETF hype, bringing people in probably faster into the cycle than it should have done. This is my opinion anyway, faster into the cycle than it should have done, and then all of a sudden didn't have the momentum to continue. The macro events weren't there, the liquidity wasn't ready to cycle in, and we stalled out, and we've been stalled out ever since, basically. And that was from March all the way until now. We're in September. Summer's normally a slow period anyway, but let me just get into this. Right, ever since the low, I've said to you guys, I thought we were going to pull back into this area here. You'll have seen, if you watch my content, you'll have seen this velo chart. Still think that's very possible. Another thing I want to say though is open interest is still pretty high. Very realistically, we could come like lower than this. We could come into this area, 51k. And I know that people won't like to hear that, but if we look at where open interest is in relative terms, open interest right now is the same as where that is. So if I look up here, that's here, that's 60,000, and we're at 56. And with this flush in open interest, it took us down from 61,000 down to 58. So it's a $3,000 drop here. So do I think there could be further down to come? Yes. When I was on the who was I on space? It was Cointelegraph. I was on with some really respectable people, and they were all saying, yeah, I think the bottom's in, I think we're going to pump from here. And I said, very often, and I've said this a million times, when we have a bottom or a low, we either come back down and test the low, or come a bit lower and create a bullish divergence on the RSI, so the RSI will form a higher low while the price forms a lower low, or we'll form a low and they'll around bad news, and the bad news won't be able to push us any lower than the price action. They were the things that I said, and I've reiterated that. Come on here and said it to you. I've even shot myself out of a trade though, because I even got convinced of what other people were saying, like thinking the lows were in, and I've just rabbited on about this. I've not said anything different on my channel, but like I only said that I got myself chopped out of a trade because I want to say to you, like, it's not easy mentally. So my mental was weak for a bit, and then I chopped myself out of a trade, even though I know, and I've been saying to you guys, I don't know, but I know that this is the area that is good to be entering positions. Now, at the same time, we're seeing people like Arthur Hayes, who I'm madly respecting the space, saying that he's shorting here. It shows that even he, right, whether he's right or wrong, but even he should not be shorting the bottom of a range. That's just not what you do. And he is a smart guy. And he goes, because I think we could go lower than 50k Bitcoin, and I'm a degen. If you're going to short, you short from up here. You short from up here. You short from the tops of the ranges. You short from the top here. I was calling this. I said when we were going to break out of here, I said it could be a short squeeze when we pop up. This is when the Jackson Hole talk was. The short squeeze, we pop up, and then we probably reverse and come and sweep the lows. And what have we done? Exactly that. So that's the first thing. The first thing is, it feels like dog shit out there. And I'm going to be completely frank with you this whole video. It feels like dog shit out there. You've got people telling you this is going to happen, that's going to happen. Is crypto done? Equities are going to start breaking down now. Is that going to fall over into crypto? Like, what is the next step? The Russell can't break out, so crypto can't go to all-time highs. But nothing yet has happened, guys. Like, we've had a few days where we've moved down, and I said also that this is the Russell. I said also that September is going to be dodgy. Did I or did I not say that September is going to be dodgy and there will be some trickery in September? We're 6 days in, and it feels awful already. But okay, and we're going to get onto the but and the change of tone any second now. Don't get sucked into the trap of thinking that everything's going to go to zero, because I've got a million things now to show you that I don't think it is. But actually, just before we do that, we're just going to touch on the liquidity. This is the 53k region that we talked about. There is a hell of a lot of liquidity down here. I would not be very surprised at all if price action comes down to this 53k region. There's a lot of liquidity. And then very realistically, and possibly, it is very possible, we could then send it down to this area here, this 46, 47,000 area. And I know no one wants to hear that, and it's not a nice thing to say, and I don't want it to go there personally. But it's not about what I want, it's about what is possible. And that I've said that from the start, we've written about it in the newsletter, this is possible. It's possible to visit this area, okay? But then I do believe we go back to the upside because, and I'll show you why. If you look at these previous cycles, actually one last thing, hang on. Then I think we go back to the upside because I think we're in a bull market, and I'm going to talk about everything else now as to why I think we're in a bull market. But one thing I do want to say is this liquidity could get left behind. It's definitely possible, like here, this liquidity got left behind. That's people closing out their longs as we started to pump. They're saying, okay, I'm going to take some profits. The liquidity gets left behind. So that liquidity, those orders they won their trade, okay? And the same thing happened down here with all this liquidity. All this liquidity here got left behind, and these longs sat in their longs all the way up, basically. Look, you see they closed out like here. They sat in their longs all the way there. So there's always winners. That's what I'm going to say to you. So it is possible we leave that liquidity behind, even though it is sitting there looking tempting. And as you get close to it, as we start to flush through these other pools, it makes me feel it's more and more likely that you can get down to these lower levels. Excuse me. But I do feel like we are closer to a bottom than people think. So let me get into that now. I'm going to get into some things that are going to hopefully make you a bit more bullish. Starting with this. This is the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. We are at our lowest point since November 2023. In November 2023, where was Bitcoin? I'm just going to make some good points for you guys now. Bitcoin was down here in November 23, 30k. We're at our lowest point in the Fear and Greed Index since then. So that's one thing to take into consideration. And what happened after we formed these lows? We're actually even lower, I think, on a 30. I think there we got to like, what, 31.8. So we're lower than we were there. This is actually, yeah, November, yeah, September-ish time. I can remember this. I know exactly where it is in terms of price action. It's here. We were here. This is exactly where we were. In the Fear and Greed Index, it's showing exactly this period here. I remember because I went to the Bybit head office and I spoke to some big professional traders. They were like, we absolutely guarantee that we're coming down to this sort of price area here to flush out loads of people who are in long positions. Did we do that? No. We reversed and then we started marching on higher. Because I didn't agree at the time, and they were way more experienced than me, and so I almost didn't give my opinion because I felt like an idiot for feeling what I thought, but then we did actually march on higher. And we're in that same area in terms of a Fear and Greed Index. So there's that. In fact, we're even lower, and we're still at 56,000. Aside from that, USDT, stable coins, the USDT I'm using as an example here, it's towards its all-time high again. It's been creeping up since falling out of this parallel channel. Maybe it comes back and back test the channel before continuing down. My point with this is there's still a lot of stable coins sitting on the side. They're still ready to be deployed. Okay, so the capital's there. It's bearish that they're in stables. It shows you like that people are in a safety trade, but it does mean that there is still capital there to be deployed. Okay, so what potentially comes next? Well, I've spoken about it a lot in last week's newsletter. I'm about to write today's newsletter. We talked about a short-term pullback and then looking towards the end of the year. The DXY is looking weak. This is net positive for crypto, or historically net positive for crypto. When the DXY drops, crypto normally rallies. And I've shown you the chart of when Bitcoin rallies, normally 71 days from the top, or in history, 71 days from the top of the DXY fall. So it's any time now, potentially, for the start of this rally to come. We're at the bottom of this range here for the DXY that could continue to fall further. So that would probably bring more fuel to the fire for Bitcoin. In this drop here, this is the drop before Bitcoin rallied to started to rally off the bottom towards its all-time highs now of 70k. We dropped for about 3 or 4 months, if I remember correctly, in the DXY, and then Bitcoin started to rally at the back of that. So that's the DXY is telling us that it should be time to look towards risk on. That's normally what happens when the DXY weakens, as equities and fixed assets increase because people move money out of cash and move it into other things. Gold is not obviously risk on, it's a safety trade, but gold is also breaking and pushing its all-time highs at $2,500. As I've talked about, moved up from about $2,000 to $2,500, about a 25% increase on a $12 trillion market cap token. That's about a $3 trillion move. $3 trillion is more than double the market cap of crypto right now. There is capital out there that can rotate very easily and quickly into crypto if we start to get the macro conditions, and if crypto starts to catch a bid. I would presume some of the money from gold rotates into crypto as people use gold as a safety trade and Bitcoin as a momentum trade when that starts to pop. So that's another thing. I've also talked in this newsletter, actually here is the chart, the DXY against Bitcoin chart that I was talking about. 71 days from the top, the pullback, and then this is where Bitcoin bottoms out and then starts on its rally. And then we've had chopping around, say it's a bit of a lag against Bitcoin, chopping around from the top to the low, 71 days. That would put us to about the 7th of October. I think I've worked it out on here. Okay, so 7th of October is what that would be looking for. I spoke about liquidity conditions in the world ticking up. We've seen, if you're active on Twitter, you'll see that M2 is actually breaking out to all-time highs. So there's that as well. That's more liquidity in the system. And finally, something that I know that isn't going to impress everybody and it's not meant to impress people. I'm going to discuss exactly what this second now, but I'm going to play this for you first.
And instead of attacking industries of the future, we will embrace them, including making America the world capital for crypto and Bitcoin.
So we've got Donald Trump, who, whether you like him or not, is in line to be potentially, obviously, Kamala Harris. And he's literally saying that they want to embrace crypto. At the same time, Qatar bringing out crypto. We've got, yesterday, MasterCard did a deal with, basically MasterCard are allowing people to spend out of their hardware wallets into fiat. The macro is looking good. I said September would be difficult, but the macro is looking good. After that, I believe there's going to be money printing. I don't know where it's going to come from, but I think the liquidity conditions are ticking up. We can see that. I've written about that. Capital is going to flow into markets very soon. Is crypto going to catch a bid? I don't know exactly when, but I feel yes. Towards the end of the year is going to be good. But then I also think that all of a sudden everyone's now flipped bearish on September. We've talked about seasonality. We've got a lot of different metrics for why September's not going to be good for crypto. And the first few days have been bad so far for September. I've been talking about that there could be a lower low to come, or we could be looking for a higher low, but still there could be some pullback. However, things change very flipping quickly in this space. That's basically what I'm trying to say to you guys. We're at peak fear right now. Everyone's worried. Even big traders are starting to short. At the same time as people saying how bad September's going to be, and we're 6 days in, don't believe all the hype. Things change in an instant in this space. You've got the biggest asset manager in the world talking about crypto. You've got the biggest country in terms of finance in the world talking about endorsing crypto in campaigns. We've got crypto about to have the biggest influx of liquidity that we've ever seen because of how much debt there is and how much we need to refinance. We've got stocks at all-time high. We've got gold at all-time high. Some of this capital just needs to rotate, and it will. Unless you believe that crypto is going to zero, unless you genuinely believe that, you shouldn't be sitting here thinking, the world's ending, because it isn't. We could have some volatility. It's not caught the bid yet that we want it to catch, but if you believe that crypto's here to stay, it will catch that bid, and that's what I believe. I genuinely believe that. And I think it's coming sooner than people can imagine, because when you're in these periods and it feels like doom and gloom, that is normally when the bottoms come in. Are we going to get some bad news, and that's going to help us set a low or a higher low, and then we're going to probably march up from there. And that's what I would say is going to happen. We've got CPI coming out next week as another catalyst. They are normally short-term-ish catalysts for crypto specifically, like we do have volatility around those days. But let's just see what happens next. Everyone's talking about stock market crash as well. I don't think that can happen really running into elections, because I just think they'll pump the life out of the markets if it does start to get bad. Maybe they'll be too slow doing that, but I don't know. But I just think that crypto's about to get very sendy, and people are going to get caught on the sidelines, chopping themselves out of trades, trying to chase the new hot thing. Whereas realistically, if you look through history, crypto is about to pump, and that is what I believe. Take your head out of the charts, the day-to-day charts, give yourself a bit of a pat down and say, everything's going to be all right. Look at yourself in the mirror. And if you have to, turn your computer off, literally. But that's my message for you guys. I hope I haven't rambled too much. I tried to get my thoughts across as to why I think what I think. And I think we're on the edge of something pretty good for crypto. Whether the edge is a week, 2 weeks, or a month, or 2 months, I can't tell you that for sure. I think it probably comes sooner than people think. So I think that my base case would be anywhere from the week to the month, because everyone's expecting September now to be so bad. And things happen quicker than you think when they happen. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments. Share it with a friend. Obviously, subscribe if you don't already. Hits 5,000 subscribers. Boo, boo, boo. Thank you. Peace up, 8 and down, as Crypto Insight UK would say.